So I keep hearing that supposedly ice cream is a summer-only dessert. After all, how dare anyone bring more cold to an already freezing world? But if that was the case, then how on earth do you explain this incredibly satisfying and heartwarming salted caramel pumpkin delight that I'm about to show you? I don't think that you can. So if you're anything like me and summer is just too far away for you to enjoy seasonal ice cream, then this recipe is just for you. You may even use it to convert some of those non-believers to true year-round ice cream lovers. You never know. So if all that sounds good to you, then stick around and let's make some incredibly delicious salted caramel pumpkin ice cream. We are making pumpkin ice cream after all, so we need to get our lead start to a more ice cream friendly state. Lay your pumpkin flat and stable and cut in half through the middle. A bright orange flesh is a good indicator of a ripe pumpkin. Attaboy. We're cutting into quarters and then into eighths. The aim here is to get relatively even sized pieces that will fit into our baking tray of choice. Next, using a spoon, scrape out any seeds nested into the pumpkin's flesh. You could reserve these for baking later if you wanted to. We're transferring into a tray that's going into a preheated oven set to 180 Celsius or 360 degrees Fahrenheit. We're baking for an hour and a half or until the flesh is easily pierced all the way through with a dough knife. This gives us plenty of time to prepare our remaining ingredients. Starting with the caramel, in a small pot, we're adding 100 grams of granulated sugar and enough water to barely get it wet. Set over medium heat and in a few minutes time you will see it bubbling away and gradually start to change to an amber color. How far you let the coloration go will determine how intense your caramel gets. Darker colors will yield some very interesting aromas, but you can't burn it, so don't go crazy. To stop the caramel from cooking, take the pot off the heat and add 200 grams of room temp heavy cream. As soon as your cream hits the caramel, return it to the heat and start stirring. The caramel will have seized slightly, so continue stirring it and it will slowly melt into the cream, giving it a gorgeous caramel hue. And since we can't make salted caramel without the salt, in go about 2 grams. Let your caramel sauce come down to room temp and split it into 3 equal parts. Each should measure 100 grams. These will serve 3 different purposes. For starters, we're going to mix in one of the bowls with an equal amount of fresh cream. So 100 grams of caramel sauce with 100 grams of fresh heavy cream. Mix those well, cover and store in the fridge to chill completely. We're turning this into whipped caramel cream, so we want it to be fridge cold for maximum whippage. Cover and also transfer the remaining 2 bowls to the fridge for later use. By now our pumpkin should be just about done, home marked with a soft flesh and slightly burnt skin on the edges. We're going to let this cool down so we can scoop out its flesh before turning it into something more akin to baby food. It's worth noting that we're only going to need 100 grams of pumpkin puree for our ice cream, but you can enjoy your baked pumpkin without pureeing it as a delicious and healthy snack. You then want to transfer your pumpkin puree to a pot set over medium heat as to reduce it slightly and get rid of any excess water which would dilute the texture of our soon-to-be ice cream. This is a great opportunity to introduce some pumpkin associated flavoring. I'm adding 50 grams of granulated sugar to 500 grams of pumpkin puree, followed by the classical trio of cinnamon, clove and nutmeg. Once we've lost the excess moisture and your pumpkin puree can hold its shape, take it off the heat, run it through a sieve and set it aside to cool down. By now our caramel cream should be sufficiently chilled and we can move on to preparing the last missing piece of the puzzle, whipped caramel cream. Go ahead and use whatever tool you have handy to beat the caramel to stiff peaks and set aside. Assembly time! We have 200 grams of exquisite whipped caramel cream, 100 grams of salted caramel sauce, 100 grams of pumpkin puree, and last but not least 100 grams of sweetened condensed milk. We're starting off by building our base and mixing the condensed milk and the pumpkin puree together until homogeneous. Then next joined by half of our whipped cream. At this stage, you don't need to be particularly careful mixing it. We're only preparing the mixture for the second addition of whipped cream. Once you've got that out of the way, we need to fold in the second half of the whipped cream. Since we're saving ourselves the trouble and equipment needed for churning it, this step is vital to our ice cream's texture, so make sure you fold gently. Naturally, quality control is a must in all aspects of cooking, so make sure you're tasting as you're going. for professional purposes of course. And last but certainly not least, we need to swirl in the caramel from the bowl we have on standby. Drizzle the caramel in a thin line over the ice cream mixture and give it a gentle and incomplete fold. I like this approach since it leaves visible trails in the ice cream, creating a visual contrast. Transfer your pumpkin caramel lava in the container of your choice and move it to the freezer for at least 2 hours, or better yet, overnight. Moment of truth. Ladies and gents, I present to you our salted caramel pumpkin ice cream. Time to see what you made of and test your scooping skills. Okay. Not too bad, but I didn't say it could lick that spoon. Anyhow, cover with some crushed cookies and a good long drizzle of that caramel sauce that we've kept all the way through. And don't forget to enjoy this moment of pure satisfaction. Equipped with your weapon of choice, it's time to dig in. The texture is velvety smooth and the ice cream melts in your mouth like cotton candy, while the pumpkin with its spicy sweetness is matched beautifully by the depth of the salted caramel. And this seasonal manifesto is certainly greater than the sum of its parts. But don't take my word for it. Make your own.